Here's something many people have experienced but rarely understand. Everything seems to be going well with someone. The calls are frequent, the conversation's lively, and suddenly nothing. No call. No message. Just silence. And you're left wondering what changed and why someone who seemed present suddenly disappeared. Today, we're exploring psychological reasons behind this behavior and why it often has nothing to do with your value. Sometimes when people first meet someone, the excitement is high. Their emotions are stimulated, their mind buzzing, and they call often because everything feels fresh. But emotional excitement has limits. Psychologists call this emotional overstimulation. When someone hits that internal limit, they may pull back suddenly, not because they lost interest, but because their feelings moved too fast. Instead of slowing down gently, they abruptly stop calling to calm themselves. The silence reflects their emotional capacity, not your worth. In early connection stages, the brain releases dopamine, the thrill chemical. It creates excitement, but dopamine spikes never last. When the high drops, some people mistake it as losing interest. They don't understand their brain is simply regulating itself. So instead of adjusting to normal emotional rhythm, they stop calling because the rush faded. Again, this is a biochemical shift, not a reflection of you. Another reason is attachment style. Some people have an avoidant attachment pattern. They enjoy connection, but only from a comfortable distance. When closeness begins to feel too real or vulnerable, they instinctively withdraw. When conversations deepen or emotional responsibility appears, they retreat. It's not because the connection was bad, it's because closeness feels unsafe to them. There's also fear of expectations. Some worry that consistent calling means commitment. They fear being needed, fear disappointing someone, fear emotional responsibility. Instead of saying, "I'm overwhelmed," they disappear. Silence feels easier than honesty. Modern life adds another layer. Many people treat interactions like browser tabs, opening many at once, jumping between them. When something else pulls their attention, they forget to return. Not because the tab wasn't valuable, but because another one flashed brighter. This is a modern attention issue, not a sign you're unimportant. Some people stop calling because genuine feelings make them feel out of control. When emotions deepen, vulnerability increases. Vulnerability feels risky, so they retreat to regain emotional balance. They stop calling to protect themselves, not because you did something wrong. Sometimes the reason is simple: they don't know how to communicate emotional shifts. They don't know how to say, "I need space," or "I'm confused." Emotional literacy is rare. Silence becomes their escape from discomfort. Stress is another cause. Work, family issues, money worries, or mental exhaustion can push someone into withdrawal. When the mind is overloaded, even talking feels heavy. They disappear not because you're unworthy, but because they're overwhelmed. Some people stop calling because they're unsure of their feelings. Not uninterested, just confused. Uncertainty makes them pause communication instead of explaining. Priorities can also shift. If something urgent appears in their life, attention naturally moves to what demands focus. You weren't necessarily replaced. Their focus moved to survival or stress. Emotional readiness is another factor. Someone may like you, but not be ready for consistency, depth, or responsibility. Readiness and interest are not the same. Sometimes you triggered an old emotional wound. Not because you did anything wrong, but because something about the connection touched a place they haven't healed. Fear of abandonment, fear of intimacy, or fear of being seen clearly can make someone retreat. In some cases, the interest was surface level. They enjoyed the attention or conversations, but didn't have the capacity for deeper consistency. Their silence reveals their limits, not your flaws. Why do people disappear instead of explaining? Because disappearing feels easier. Explaining requires honesty and maturity. Silence gives them a temporary sense of relief, while leaving you confused. Here's what their silence does not mean. It does not mean you're not good enough, boring, or unworthy. Most withdrawals come from the other person's inner world, not your value. When someone stops calling, don't chase or blame yourself. Observe the behavior. Recognize that consistency shows readiness, and silence shows conflict. Your life does not pause because someone went silent. Their inconsistency is not your identity. The most empowering thing is to understand the psychology, protect your value, and focus on people who choose you willingly. Silence is clarity. Lack of effort is an answer. People stop calling for many reasons: fear, stress, unreadiness, confusion, distraction, or emotional wounds. But their behavior does not define your worth or your future. Move forward with clarity. Move forward with strength. And always remember, the right people communicate. They don't disappear. They choose consistency, not confusion. They bring peace, not doubt. If this message brought clarity, follow for more psychology-based stories and explanations that help you understand people and yourself more deeply.